history, and with a staggering 8 years of development, Concord launched to an abysmal peak player count of 660 players on Steam.
Oh my goodness!
I would be laughing if it wasn't so sad, but this is a funeral, okay? Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League had a higher player count than Concord. Ladies and gentlemen, to put this in the most extreme context possible, I give you this. I could end the video right here, to be quite honest. What's even worse to consider is that a good chunk of these players were likely journalists or content creators who received early code, or even some of the developers. So it begs the question, how could such a huge game that Sony has invested so much money, time, and effort into, how could it collapse this hard? Today we're going to answer that question. Why has Concord failed so spectacularly? Because just 2 weeks after launch, Sony has announced that they are pulling it from stores, refunding anyone who bought it, and shutting the servers down on September 6th, which is probably about the time this video is going to go live. They're giving it the full day before treatment. Not even Redfall was shut down this quickly, and that's so strange because Redfall was a total glitch fest. It was barely even a functioning video game, and yet Concord worked. It wasn't a good game, it wasn't unique, but it functioned, and that's usually like the bar where these kinds of games land, is like they just don't fucking work and they're terrible. But Concord worked. That's what's interesting about it. In many ways, the situation is worse than the day before because that game was just a blatant scam, and this was like a genuine, real attempt to create a new first-party IP for the Sony brand. We are actually witnessing a historic moment, like something that might never happen on this level in the video game industry for a long time. While the video game crash in 1983 resulted in like $3 billion in revenue lost in the industry as a whole, as a singular product, I think Concord takes the cake. This is $100 million straight down the fucking toilet. The game director for Firewalk Studios, the developer, posted this update. An important update on Concord. Concord fans, we've been listening to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey to broad the North Star. The support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. I think one of the saddest things a person can witness is a situation where all hope is clearly lost. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, and yet there is still an element of positivity to it. Man, that fucking sucks for the developers. Like, you can sit here and say, yeah, it's their fucking fault for making this game nobody wanted and nobody cared to buy, but there are genuinely talented developers, you know, people on the ground floor who don't make the creative decisions, who probably put their heart and soul into this job and into this game, and it's just totally done. The positivity of it, something about that just is so sad to me. But I mean, we're still gonna make fun of it. While many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we intended.
You don't say. You don't say. You don't say.
Yeah, the fucking foundation disintegrated. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will immediately offer a gamers who have purchased the game on PS5 or PC. Yada, yada, yada. We'll keep you updated, and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in the Concord galaxy. All 2,000 of them. That's rough, buddy. I suppose credit where credit is due for not taking a small amount of money and running. Probably face a lawsuit, you know. Although the developers could try to resuscitate the game with post-launch support, I can at least respect knowing when to call it quits. But I am once again asking you to listen, game publishers, to what I said in this video. There should not be so many failures in the game industry that I can keep referencing this video as an example of prophecy. Why was it necessary to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into this new release? It's like you're just hoping that every live service game you make is going to be the one to make $1 billion, and none of them are. Try developing new IPs on a smaller scale, built by fewer people, with a more cohesive creative vision that takes less risk. And if it does well, work your way up. That's how it fucking used to be. The Warcraft series started as a pretty fucking jank RTS, but it grew from it. These publishers are placing gargantuan expectations upon on brand new game studios and just expecting them to make like billions of dollars right out the gate. This is such a monumental blunder that it's really important to take a deep look at why Concord failed and what this means for the game. Now they say they're going to find ways to re-deliver this, but I don't know if that's possible. The game is not interesting to people. It's not visually appealing. The gameplay doesn't look fun or interesting or like anything we haven't seen before. I don't think there's a Fortnite turnaround in the cards. You know, Fortnite's original mode, it just kind of flew under the radar. Nobody cared too much, but Epic had the foresight to say, hey, maybe we can still make something out of it. It's a lost cause. Concord has been the biggest high-profile disaster that most gamers are going to want to stay far away from the blast radius, you know? There isn't any sort of even Fallout 76 type redemption to be had here. It's not a case of No Man's Sky where the game had potential and it hooked people and they were willing to give it another shot with post-launch support. I think this is just dead and done with. Future generations of gamers will associate Concord with failure, with disaster, kind of like what Brink used to be. Anybody remember that dumpster fire? Also, can we talk about how funny it is that Sony decided to launch a live service game like this, which is dependent on a healthy player count function, and they got this game's release for like 180 countries? What are you doing? Sony literally learned nothing from the Helldivers debacle. Like, they looked at that and thought, you know what? We should have just launched the game like that, blocked in all these countries. To be fair, though, I think those 180 countries are happy they were saved from purchasing Concord. So, you know, count your blessings. It must be pretty clear to the execs at Sony that Concord's chances of revival are basically zero. So by shutting it down, they're able to save money on the cost of running servers, the electricity for the computers in the building. Perhaps they can save some money on their taxes by writing those off as fucking business laws. They're just getting what they can there. This is not reassuring to any game developers, I imagine. The people of Firewalk are probably utterly demoralized, and I can sympathize with that, albeit on a smaller scale. You know, it sucks when I put 2 weeks into a video that goes live and it's at the bottom. It's 10 out of 10 doing the work. It's flopping. But that's only 2 weeks of work for like 1 to 2 people. You know, this is 8 years and 100 developers with a $100 million budget. I cannot even grasp my mind around the stakes and how much I feel bad about failing on such a spectacular level. So I really do sympathize with the developers on the ground floor. As can Cliff Blazinski, who said on Twitter, Concord, I feel your pain. For those that don't remember, Cliff Blazinski was the lead designer on the first 3 Gears of War games. He later moved on to create Lawbreakers, another hero shooter that was less dead on arrival than Concord. And that game was shut down just a year after launch. We thought that was a crazy shutdown, 1 year. Concord lasted 11 days. If anyone knows what the Firewalk devs are going through right now, it's Cliff Blazinski. Now, the first major reason Concord failed is pretty obvious. Bad marketing. I, like most people, saw the trailer for this game and thought, this, don't care. That's how brains work, right? You have to implant a strong first impression to be like, what is this? Does it have a release date? When's that? I should put it in my calendar. Yo, Tony, have you seen this Concord game? It looks kind of sick. Maybe we should try it out when it comes out. No, there was no word-of-mouth effect like that at all. I only learned of this game's existence a few weeks ago because I was doing research on upcoming hero shooters for the video I made on why Overwatch 2 was a pointless sequel, in which Concord was just a footnote in that video. Like, hey, maybe Concord is going to be one of those games that gives Overwatch 2 some competition.
You serious?
Really? I don't fucking know anything about it. Okay, cut me some slack. But it's still bizarre that Concord could launch to such low player counts. Like, they had a flashy, big-budget cinematic trailer that, like, clearly had a lot of effort put into it. It was being promoted on PlayStation Showcase. They had plans for an animated spin-off series. They had written up a ton of lore and backstory on the characters in the universe. They had limited edition controllers tied in with this game. That actually looks pretty sick, not gonna lie. There were months of planned live service updates with weekly story vignettes to keep players coming back. How could so few people have bought or played this or that drew in a maximum of 2,400. The game launched with a player count of less than 700. Indication that about half of the players who pre-ordered the game canceled it or got a refund before release. Wild. Meanwhile, Deadlock's hitting like 100K and it hasn't even fucking been announced yet. I recently watched the cinematic reveal and I know you watch something and you're like, I don't feel it. That's kind of what like a sociopath probably feels like. I just feel empty inside watching this. It comes across like a intergalactic co-op heist game, which could have been a really cool. It's a cool concept. I mean, this big tower in the circling city, it looks kind of cool. But the way the characters talk is uninteresting. Mega cringe. They don't look visually appealing. It's like, oh, get it? This guy likes hot sauce. That's so pushy. The old hot sauce bottle out of a classic trick. I think it's generally a knockoff of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, you can already play as the real Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel Rivals. Just fucking play that. But you know, the setting was cool and interesting. Maybe we just needed time to get used to it. And then they said Concord would be a 5v5 hero shooter. And I think that's when most people just checked out, because there's a lot of those right now. But even in the gameplay trailers, where the footage has been curated and edited to be the best representation of the game possible, Concord still looked dull, unimaginative. I mean, just look at it. Compare this to the excitement present in the Black Ops 6 trailer. These gameplay showcases could be described as, This is a brand new IP. It's a hero shooter, an established, saturated genre. You gotta blow us away with an explosive first impression. The game sounded even less appealing when the developers sat down and explained to us what Concord was. None of it sounded unique. All generic statements you could say about any first-person shooter. It's got a strong gameplay foundation, opportunities to outplay your opponent, tight core movement. Does it also have guns and shooting? I love shooting things. If I'm not shooting, I'm not having fun. So for the people who watched these trailers and were aware of the game's existence, it probably didn't leave a strong impression, especially when it's in a showcase filled with other vastly more interesting games. I'd never heard of Concord before the campaign, or if I had, what I'd heard or seen hadn't been memorable enough to stick in my memory. I didn't realize right off the bat that it was part of PlayStation's slate of live service titles, which set me up for a day-ruining disappointment. First impressions matter a lot, especially with new IP, because they don't have that emotional equity with an audience who automatically grab their attention. And it didn't do a good job of grabbing people's attention. The second reason Concord failed, they missed the bus. It's okay? And now the game is stuck at rock bottom. Even if this came out before Overwatch, it would have felt immediately outdated after Overwatch came out. Overwatch 1, yes. If you're gonna show up 8 years later to the party, you better bring some goddamn good chips and a keg of beer. Where's the beer? It's not just that the hero shooter genre is oversaturated, it's that Concord needs nothing to differentiate itself from its competitors. As if nowhere along this 8th stretch of development, they thought, hey, maybe we should change directions and try to innovate and adapt to the changing gaming landscape and what the current expectations are. I mean, you see this innovation in hero shooters like Deadlock, which is arguably more of a MOBA than a hero shooter. The aspects of Dota and League of Legends work to great success in Deadlock. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't play or feel like anything else out there. It's a genuinely innovative title, and it's in alpha. And the art style is still leagues better than this. They haven't even finished the fucking graphics on this game, and it still looks better. Marvel Rivals has the benefit of the Marvel IP and the hundreds of characters that creative inspiration. NetEase has already worked on Overwatch in the past, so they have experience with that type of game. Apex Legends blends hero shooters with the Battle Royale formula. Valorant mixes heroes with Battleground. It's these combinations of different ingredients that makes the beverage taste unique. Concord doesn't have any of that. There's no X factor. And it's late to a trend we've all been familiar with for the last 8 years. The third reason, and let's play a game. One of these is not like the other. Can you help me figure out which one? Is it this one? No? What about this one? Uh-uh. Oh, I see. It's Concord with a $40 price tag when every other competitor is free to play. Gee, who could have seen this one coming? That this was a bad decision. At a time where inflation is also especially high in the U.S., gamers have to be wise with what they spend their money on. They're likely to be even more conservative with their money because of games like Concord that turn into total duds. I don't know what to say. This is just a complete miscalculation. Fucking 2014 Seahawks at the Super Bowl throwing it when they're on the 2-yard line instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch. Just a complete disaster of a calculation. The main appeal of live service sites is that most of the time they're free. Might deal with some jank and bullshit, but the game's free, and if you want to support it with microtransactions, you can. So the barrier to entry is torn down, and the business model is mostly geared towards cosmetics. That's the trade-off. But trying to do both is really difficult if the game isn't good enough. It's like trying to milk 2 cows at once. Asking for $40 up front is like forcing your guests in Roller Coaster Tycoon to pay to use the bathroom. It's like, no thanks, I'll just shit my pants. Thank you. However, games that manage to blend an upfront cost with a live service model can sell well. Helldivers 2 is a prime example, but they also really didn't go too hard on the monetization. It's also been fumbling on the live service front, and that's kind of sad, but Arrowhead more than made their money back and then some. But Helldivers 2 also offered players something they had never seen or played before. It had style, grace. Concord has a funny face. Speaking of, the fourth reason the game failed, to put it nicely, it's visually unappealing. That's a good nice way to describe it. Not just the character design, but the UI, the weapons, the maps, everything. It's generic, it's ugly. Visually, everything has a great amount of detail and high graphical fidelity, but it lacks style, it lacks charm. It means Concord literally looks like lots of money was invested into it, but not much creativity. It's a hero shoot. The heroes are the selling point. This game has to have character. If I don't like the look, feel, or sound of these characters, then there's no reason for anyone to play it. So, let's look at the rock, shall we? Teo. It looks like he's geared up to play laser tag. I'm really not sure what's up with the asymmetric, like, one-two icing. I'm guessing this is like the Soldier 76 of Concord. Tamar looks like she got her outfit at Value Village, like she went to a thrift store. Out of all the ways you can cast fire in video games, why tiny little soldier? Star Child is...
Oh my god! What's wrong with your face?
What the fuck is this supposed to be? The bright blue skin tone? This looks like my fucking custom Oblivion character that I'm trying to make as ugly as humanly possible. Oh my sweet lord. This lady looks like if Warhammer 40K created a game show to teach infants how to count. She looks like she would be the main character. She would be the Steve of Blue's Clues. Her design looks like a 6-year-old's interpretation of the Fallout power armor. Like, impressive for a 6-year-old. For $100 million? No siree. Ladies and gentlemen, it's right there. The red flag. I mean, it's in plain sight. They warned us. They tried to stop us from practicing this game. They literally put a red flag on the character. There's just nothing about any of these characters. When you look at them, they're just all horrendously ugly. Or they have, like, such contrasting color schemes. Or, like, this guy, Jabali. Like, isn't that a fucking stupid name? Jabali. Look at that. He's got, like, a cowboy hat, Mad Max goggles, a fucking portable CD player attached to his chest, and a turquoise, like what the fuck is this character design? Even the robot, he's literally called a trash dispenser. He's a fucking trash can. I think Claptrap could beat the shit out of this guy. This is the fucking prototype for IG-88. This is IG-88's fat brother. This motherfucker looks like the Tiger Brand rice cooker, man. Is there even one character that looks like us?
Ladies and gentlemen, while recording this video about why Concord, Yak Man tragically died from crazy. Did you know that over 700 people a year die from crazy? Not a whole lot, but it is more than the peak concurrent player count of Concord. Usually it's self-inflicted deaths caused by one's own existence, but in this case, it goes the left.
So there's not hard.
Feels so good.
The design of Concord's
This is
characters
going to
aren't
be
just
messy.
ugly. They tell you nothing about the character themselves. Let's pretend none of you have ever played Team Fortress 2. And I'm pitching the game to you, and I tell you, it's a hero shooter or class-based shooter. I want you to tell me what you think this guy does. Kind of looks like he doesn't want his face to be seen. He's a stealthy kind of guy. What about him? Big machine gun? He's got a bigger blade than the other guys. Bald, probably a tough dude. Can dish out a lot of damage, can take a lot of damage, but can't move fast. You see how easy it is to like differentiate between good and bad art styles? What do you think the fucking rice cooker guy does? Did you guess that he's a robot that shoots fucking vacuum cleaners? The point is, Concord isn't interesting to look at. I don't want to look at it. So between the unappealing visual design, the $40 price tag, the generic nature of the gameplay, it's no wonder why Concord failed to capture a meaningful audience. But what is perplexing is how this was okayed by Concord. This is like Sony's Redfall. And right now, Sony is in dire straits. In 2022, they announced they had 10 live service games in production, and 6 of them would be released by March 2026. Layoffs have hit Sony developers, changing priorities for some of these live service titles. Others have been outright canceled, and some have become flops like Concord. This is representative of a wild overreach, an overexpansion and overinvestment into something Sony doesn't know how to market or create. They're just throwing money away in the trash can and lighting it all on fire. It has to stop. It's easy to point and laugh at the ridiculous character designs, but truly it's tragic that so much money and time and effort has gone to waste in such
Why stop at
spectacular
one
fashion.
gooball?
Actually, fashion isn't even a word you can use when describing this game. I sure am glad they didn't use, $10 million, $20 million on Jack and Daxter. Good job we didn't get that instead. And we've already seen the industry hit with tens of
It's
thousands
about
of
to get
layoffs, and
sticky.
critical flops like Concord will do nothing but contribute to this declining health of the video game industry and the hobby we all care about. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now. These are the reasons why Concord has failed
just
and why
wanna
Sony is
melee.
shutting it down
That's
just 2 weeks after
exciting.
launch. But what do you think? Which of these characters would you bang? None of them? Me too. Well, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content. All right, everyone. We've paid our respects, and it's time to say adieu. Farewell, sweet Concord. Farewell.
Everything looks fake, doesn't it? Expelling goo. The Duke's grievances will be heard.
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, I feel safe. Trouble walking in a straight line before the Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello, I believe that's all you. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Wonderful-ish. Yeah, we've got a whole combination of news, different things that have happened. But I will say that this happened that not to surprise anybody at all was I watched half of the Ring of Power episode this morning, I think. Then I just left. I think I went to the toilet downstairs and I just didn't continue. And then I was like, oh fuck, open box. I better finish it off.
This happens to me every time, man. I find myself just making excuses and going doing other stuff, just anything to avoid like watching this thing. I actually today, and I did this as well, like last week. I watched it in the gym and got a workout while I was watching it. I thought at least I'll get something productive out of this. But man, yeah, you got to suffer through it. You really do. You got to force yourself to watch it. And well, I'm glad you made it at the end.
Yeah, I did complete it, don't worry. And some of the best things were saved for last, man.
Yeah, sure. We'll talk about that. There's plenty coming. But before we get started, it's become custom, as we always do, is we want to give you a little bit of information about the year of our Lord, well, in this case, 2010. for 110. Really getting up through them now. Yeah, I mean, normally I look for like big tech news and stuff, like major video games and stuff that were released that year, like technological developments, just to kick it off. There wasn't much in this case for 2010. The biggest thing was the iPad. Was released. That was the very first time we got iPads. It was slightly more interesting from a movie perspective, though. The biggest movie of the year was Toy Story 3. That was just over $1 billion that made. Great way to round out the trilogy. I'm really glad they never made any more. That's it, right? After that, they would ruin that ending, right? That would be crazy.
It would be a crime if they did, right?
Yeah. Also, Alice in Wonderland was too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Like, no memory of that movie whatsoever, really. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. You can't get away from those Harry Potter movies, man. They're always there. Inception was 4th, and then Shrek Forever After was 5th. So, kind of a mixed bag of stuff, but 2 animated movies in the top 5 is kind of interesting. Also, the year gave us Iron Man 2, Despicable Me, Tron Legacy, The Expendables, True Grit, The Social Network, and Predators. So kind of an interesting. Yeah. I got a lot for Iron Man 2. I know people hate on it, but
I really like The Social Network. That film.
That is a good movie.
Super shit.
Yeah. We also got Resident Evil Afterlife. This wasn't really in the top 5 or anything, but I was just surprised that it was even on the charts anywhere. But yeah, that made $400 million worldwide, which is not bad considering it was done on a budget of $20. So, well done. Yeah, there was another big year for me as well. I was just going to look at some of the top games. I think the top 5 sort of multi-plats or individual platform games that were out that year. I think 3 of them came out on the Wii. I had the list there, but I just lost it there for a second. But we also got Red Dead Redemption that year, and Mass Effect 2.
Hey, yeah. There you go.
And God of War 3.
Hey.
Yeah, favorite of yours. Yeah. Hack and slash nonsense. Anyway, yeah. Well, before it got serious.
Surprising people.
But anyway, well, there's more serious things to be discussed this evening, so I think we should assemble our panel and open up the bar for our guests. What do you reckon? Alright. Well, in no particular order, we have got Space Ice, Nerdrotic, Grums, and Echo Chamberlain. Welcome to the bar, gentlemen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, boys.
Good to see you.
Your first time on the bar, Space Ice, so welcome aboard, man. Good to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
I almost feel like, sorry, I've inhaled a bit of ice there.
All right. That's the most musical drink I've ever heard. It's like jingling.
I know, yeah, wait, hold on. There you go.
And also, you missed it, but a Serbian film came out in 2010. Everyone got it.
Oh, yeah. That's the one I'm keen to visit. Infamous, but yeah, man. I almost feel like I want to just discuss other movies rather than get on the Rings of Power. I know it's coming. I know we're gonna have to get there eventually, but man, I feel like since I've got the connoisseur of like Seagal movies, I would probably watch any of them rather than watch another episode of Rings of Power. Yeah, I think I can stand by that. At least there's entertainment factor if you had Steven Seagal flicks.
Yeah, it was more to laugh at. It doesn't just make you sad.
Yeah, I do like the idea of a morbidly obese 70-year-old man who's still sometimes doing black ops for the CIA in most of his movies, so it's...
And the chicks all need him right now.
The good thing is there's so much of him to go around, so yeah, like multiple women happen simultaneously. He exists in many different time zones.
He will not take his clothes off, of course.
Well, he's nothing compared to this episode's help from each unit. They were an imposing bunch in this episode.
Oh, that away team? Yeah.
Wait, I think I saw that. Because I had to go high-tech with this one and take a photograph with my TV. But it just caught me. Yeah, I thought this perfectly summarizes the Rings of Power. So ginger, token white guy, an East Asian chick, and a black guy.
We have a
And
soulless elf. Can you
Okay,
believe it?
shame on you for not recognizing X-Ray Girl, on all of you, by the way.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Congratulations for making another show, X-Ray Girl.
I just, the moment I saw them, I thought, right, well done. You've ticked every box. The only thing we're missing is a wheelchair-bound elf.
Yeah, but why are the costumes so bad? The budget's huge.
Yeah.
They only had $1 billion, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez, come on.
I mean, I thought elves was supposed to be like tall and slender and graceful. Like that guy on the left, the far left there, like oof. He's been having a few elf puddings.
A little too much lambus bread.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like an away team. It looks like red shirts, elven red shirts.
It does. The guy on the right looks like a Vulcan.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't see him for very long. He gets sucked into the evil game.
He does. They actually put him in chains.
Galadriel doesn't save him, and then she gets captured, and she's lucky that Elrond saves her. It's so funny.
Don't you like when he says, "Don't let them get me. Don't let me go."
Yeah, don't let me go. That was the one segment where Galadriel doesn't girl boss her way out of it. Like she actually has to get helped by Elrond, which was frankly shocking to me.
It was.
That's allowed?
Apparently so. Like it's you get one per season, I think.
Remember, she was the one that said we absolutely should not go there, and the show made a huge deal about how right she was when she was saying that, when she had nothing to go on other than the ring. The ring's telling me, I'm pretty sure. It's just like the ring. Fucking.
That's not how rings work. This is like this is. Yeah, it's almost like that. It's the Han Solo thing of like that's not how the Force works. Like now, heal arrow wounds. That shit made me laugh, by the way. When like, a bunch of orcs randomly fire arrows into the woods, and it's like, oh, what was that? And then one of the guys just takes one to the gut.
That was so funny because the show needs to show us all the shit to make us understand, right? It's like they weren't shooting at the elves, they haven't found the elves, they're just shooting some.
There's a horse that was shooting it.
They're trying to shoot a horse, and they accidentally shot one of the elves. So once they make that perfectly clear, then they edit it such that the elf can now start waiting, like being in pain. He was like, and then he has to stop and shut up while we understand what just happened because the whole audience is like, what the fuck?
There was so much of other characters, even on screen, stopping and waiting for things to happen before they react, including when we get later when listen, Galadriel with the ring, pretty fucking powerful. Okay, could wipe out those orcs by herself. Galadriel in this show, which they've reduced and absolutely vandalized this character, is an insufferable girl boss midget who shouldn't be able to do anything. Isn't running around shooting freaking arrows. It's a vandalization of her character, like I said in my video, right up there with Skywalker and Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Her needing help is ridiculous, except in the show. Then it makes sense because she's an idiot. She's an absolute idiot. She's responsible for everything. Her arguments are stupid. If they're like, it's a show filled with platitudes, and at the end, when she's fighting all the orcs, there's orcs in the background, like waiting, just standing there.
Oh yeah, that was one of the
waiting for her to defeat a bunch so they can just go in and get defeated.
Legit one of the worst action scenes I think I've ever seen in a show like this. It was so slow, and they were so obviously just waiting for her to get on the horse and get moving, and everyone was standing back politely. And then she's shooting arrows at like lanterns that explode like freaking
That was amazing.
They were like, we can't have her just going with a sword, and we can't have her shooting arrows. We have to do something crazy. She has to like do acrobatics onto a horse and shoot an arrow, and then fire up the lantern. And you're just like, what were you thinking? It's all insane. And I couldn't even like believe the scene happening in the first place when she was like, you guys go, I'm here to stay. And it's like, come with us. It's no difference at all. And it's like, you know what? We can just kill all the orcs. I feel like the elves can do it, you know?
Yeah. And what are you doing? Are you teasing the idea that she might die? Galadriel is going to be alive like 2,000 years from now? Like, clearly she's going to be fine. What's the point in doing this?
But does anyone want to die, even if it's the original story and they were all we have to say? Nobody would die.
Yeah.
It wasn't even it wasn't even like Tekken, where the people in the background were sort of like swaying and shuffling in anticipation of joining the fight. They were just literally just standing there in a circle, waiting for their opportunity.
Yeah.
I liked earlier as well in the episode where they come across the bridge that's been destroyed, their way is blocked in, and Elrond looks at it and goes, oh, it's hit by lightning. What the fuck kind of lightning is that? It can blow up an entire bridge? Really?
My only sad moment in the show is that there was no tortured metaphor to make me laugh out loud like there has been in the previous ones.
Not this time, no, not so
I'll
much.
Can I read you my favorites? There's
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Sauron used a number in his hand that was played like a harp, but to a melody not my choosing.
Yes.
And then Disa, who says, a rumor is like a songbird. It may sound filling from afar, but up close it's an empty feast. And then the stranger who says, panic is the fool's meal. Would be best to sup on patience. That might be my favorite. So I didn't get one this episode, and I was really bummed out because then I had to watch the episode. There was nothing else to enjoy.
So Tolkien.
She could eat a lot of songbirds.
Yeah, Adisa's,
Yeah.
you know, the dwarves might be
She ate all the
struggling for food, but she certainly isn't.
No.
By the looks of things.
This episode was at the level of a children's show. That's basically what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole episode was basically people walk around looking for things. That's what basically all the different story arcs are. Everyone's walking around looking for stuff. Like the two hobbit things are looking for civilization, water. Yeah, other hobbits. Not Gandalf is looking for them. Don Lemonlass and his goofy friend are like looking for the kid that's been kidnapped. Galadriel and Elrond are looking for a way to get to Eregion. Like they're all just traveling through forest and stuff. There's just a lot of walking.
They still packed it with dumb shit, like the girl who Isildur's like fucking obsessed with when he's been given basically no reason.
Yeah.
They've not built that at all. Well, I thought they were so inept. I sent you a message about this. When you make the show, right, that you have this moment where both of them are sucked into that swamp, which, by the way, was so fucking retarded. Like, I didn't understand what the fuck they wanted me to understand about the situation, I guess.
They wanted you
Turns out,
to. Well, go on.
it just turns out they were eaten by a giant slug, snail, snake thing. Anyway, she, you know, we're watching her decide, is she going to help them or is she not? And I was sitting there and how could she possibly help? The elf couldn't pull out the man. How is the girl gonna pull out the elf and the man? So she's like, here's a fucking branch. Go, guys. I thought it was really funny because I was like, oh, I get it. We're doing the thing where she's gonna do a good move, prove that she's actually a good guy. The thing is, they were in its stomach when she did that, so they don't know anything about what she did other than she was scared. You know?
Yeah, because they kind of hack the elf like slices his way out, and they both just kind of explode out of this thing's stomach, and then it like waits until they're out, and then kind of slithers back into the mud. And like you say, yeah, they had no idea that she'd gotten them out, and that they were now up above the mud level. He just did that randomly, and just hey,
they treat it like, oh, we've been through something together, you know, and that's proof of something. And then she has to say, like, no, I would never be accepted by your people. Like, she pulls the sword. But I was like, no, you can't get to this payoff because neither of you saw her do that. As far as you know, she's still evil. She still tricked you. That's all you've got to go on.
What's funny as well is like afterwards when they're having dinner because they're eating this thing as well for some reason. I would not eat this fucking thing.
Was that supposed to be that hard?
I don't know. It's just like a big chunk of its flesh, and he's just like, the world is gnawed by nameless things in the deep, which steals a fucking line from the book. Because it's not the deep places of the world. It's the fucking surface. It's full of mud.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they wanted you to take out the watcher in the water.
Yeah. But it's later on, right, when they're having dinner and like she's still manacled, and he comes over and he's down on the log next to her, and it's pretty like I think any of us can guarantee, like, or we can understand, right? He's letting her go. She's free to let herself out. And then his Isildur, fucking retard boy, walks across and he's like, "Is that a key for the manacles?" No, dude, it's like a key to the local McDonald's. What do you think it's for?
Oh, he sucks so bad. It's so funny as well because he's like, you know what? I believe in you. Then she pulls his sword on him. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
The other thing that was jarring about her is that everyone seems to sound like they're from Cornwall, except for her. She sounds like she's just come out of the Rover's Return in Coronation Street, Manchester. So it's really strange.
None of the characters will understand their accents in this, or none of the actors will. They're just like, do a generic regional accent. Which one? Don't know. Whichever one you can manage, basically. I loved as well because so much of this episode is wasted on Nori and what's the other one called? Like
Poppy. I only know that because
Poppy.
you said it
Poppy.
last stream. You said it so many times it's stuck in my head.
Oh, right. Well, and then I forgot it. I must have passed the knowledge on to you. So you're giving it back. You'll forget now. But yeah, Nori and Poppy, right? And then they come across another tribe of hobbits, the Sturs. Now, and I thought, again, right? This is another opportunity because the Sturs are in like the equivalent of the Middle East. You can have all your diverse actors you want. You've got like they can all be Middle Eastern actors. That makes sense in universe. No, the same fucking stupid generic mix of people. There's white actors. There's East Asians. There's Middle Eastern actors. There's black people. Again, just put into this big old cultural melting pot so that every single place you go looks exactly like everywhere else. Like
Yeah.
Middle of the desert. The not Gandalf is even saying they're gonna die of heat. Like, yeah, this is where they should have dark skin. 100% makes sense.
Did you guys like when they talked about the Shire?
Yes.
They almost said it. They almost said it.
Oh, it was.
I was ready to leave at that point if
they knew. They were like, oh, there's this wonderful place where people like us can live in little holes for the family and be amazing. It's like, shut up.
We're gonna call it the shore?
Yeah.
Let's call it the shore.
Is that the dream?
And Sadak Burrows was a prophecy. Yeah, and he had a dream. Yeah, it was about the dream.
Yeah,
of
a guy
Shire.
had a dream a couple hundred years
Dream
ago.
of spring.
We haven't forgotten that shit.
They even had. Did you see the
Guy
little
we didn't
flickers?
know.
The little flickers of special needs children they had in the thing as well. There were a couple of them. They did the same thing they did with Peter Pan. So they even put that in a super wonderful, egalitarian, ethnically diverse society in the middle of the desert.
You know, like I say, this is your opportunity, right? When you're in the Middle East, like you can have all the diverse actors you want. It makes sense in universe. Do what Game of Thrones did. That allows you to get a nice balance of your overall cast. But it's no, everywhere has to be just a big old cultural melting pot. Of course
They don't want.
it does.
They're
And by the
afraid
way,
of
like that. I
typecasting
got some
in
other
The
stuff.
stores,
Right?
Frodo is a store. So those
Stay
are the
2 steps ahead of
ancestors
death,
of
my friend.
Frodo.
Woohoo.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll pick them off one by one.
I feel better now. I could stand Tom with Bombadil. I could stand him. I thought that was quite a nice little sequence.
I didn't understand why he's there though, right? He's supposed to be in the
Nothing's out of
forests
area.
of like
I make my own opportunities.
yeah, like
Time to
Came to
move.
see that he wanted to see if it was a death.
yeah, that's their bullshit explanation. It's like, you know, he's visiting or whatever. Like, fuck off. Now he's like this guy who's fully aware of events throughout the world. He's like connected to everything. He knows what Gandalf's destiny is, and he's gonna teach him magic and stuff. Like, I'm trying to just like describe
The
this
fun's
quickly, but
really
Tom
about to
Bombadil
start.
wouldn't care about any of that stuff. He is like, he's a deity of like nature. Like that's
No,
what he
he's
is. Like,
Yoda.
well, in this he is, yeah. But like in the books and like the proper version of him, he doesn't understand any of this stuff. He doesn't care about any of this stuff. He understands like nature,
No one hides
rivers,
from me.
streams and stuff, and like whatever is within the bounds of his realm. That's it. He doesn't care about anything else.
Look how much of that scene kind of was just a complete rip of Empire. Like,
Yeah.
I'm worried now that we're going to be getting Gandalf riding on the back of Tom Bombadil in the next episode.
Probably.
Point being though, yeah, like him being like, I was sent here. He's desperately looking for the two friends he thinks he may have killed, and he's like, it could be under the stars. And the guy is like, so you got to take on a Sauron and a wizard. You ready to train? It's like, you remember when you had the two friends that you cared about?
Yeah.
They may be dead. They should be dead, by the way. Last we saw them, they got skyrocketed up, and then they landed on the floor. It's like, so they're exposed.
You generally, you generally don't survive a fall from hundreds of feet after getting blasted out of a tornado.
You had to think about that. You're like, when was the last time we saw him? Oh, being blasted away in a freaking dust devil.
You saw
They
that.
were about 100 feet in the air.
And he's like lost all interest, which to be fair, they are pretty annoying.
No, but Bomb Bombadil, who they have in this, is just a dude. It's just a guy. He doesn't even. He's completely different in the book. He's aloof. He is the eldest that they had to tell us. Remember when they had to tell us like 3 times or 2 times that he's the eldest? The name of the episode, by the way. And he's maybe some. He's like there's no for character origin, but maybe he's like an offshoot of the Song of Creation. Like he's that, and he's just an aloof guy. This is why they specifically say, hey, why don't we give in the Council of Elrond? We should give the ring to Tom. Like, I thought about it, but he just lose it. You know, that's what Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, because he'd forget about it. Yep. Like, he wouldn't even hold to his memory. Yeah, and like that's his nature. Like he, as I say, he cares about like the simple things, like the trees and plants and growing things and stuff. And he doesn't know much about the outside world.
How powerful is he supposed to be?
Well, it's more that like other things don't have power over him. Like the ring doesn't have any power over him. So like you can put it on around him, and you're still visible to him. And it doesn't tempt him in any way.
Isn't he just a big mystery? Like we don't really know who or what he is.
You're not meant to specifically know.
He's just kind of a part and above everything. Like not really connected.
He's pretty powerful in his realm, kind of up there with an ant.
Yeah, he's like a forest spirit, and they sort of theorize like, okay, say like you just leave it in his realm, right, the ring, like he protect it at least. And they say, well, no, he's not that powerful. Like, if Sauron takes over the whole world just by military force, like, he'd be able to eventually kill Tom Bombadil as well. Like, he's not invincible. So, he's not God or anything.
What's the dealio with the Dark Wizard? What's going on? What is that?
I've got the horrible feeling that it's Sauron or something.
That would be so stupid.
I was gonna ask, is this gonna be he fights Gandalf like cleanses him or something, and then he's like, you know, I'm not gonna go by Dark Wizard anymore, I'll go by my old name, Saruman. You'd be like, oh,
I feel like with Saruman, and like they're gonna wipe his memory or some stupid shit.
No running.
Bring him
Oh,
in.
please, no.
Nothing is off limits with this fucking show.
That's the thing. Anyone said like, no, it wouldn't be Saruman. It's like, you don't know.
You don't know. You honestly don't know.
Kind of has to be, because they're dancing around not giving his name. Same thing with not Gandalf. If the name doesn't mean anything, why are they hiding it? Like, why aren't they just saying what the name is? Like, it makes no sense unless they are the.
Is there any potential, right? And this has probably been talked about before. The stranger isn't Gandalf, it's Saruman.
I was thinking that, but I think that's
like a double
intelligence
fake
of the show.
I think they want him to be Gandalf.
All right.
Will they give us a title card when they review it? Like
That one Black Hobbit lady, she said, oh, Gandalf.
You're not
Yeah,
trying as hard as they can to tell you
honestly,
it's Gandalf.
You gotta think more cynically, like they want him to be Gandalf because they know people like Gandalf. They're relying on. They've given him lines from Gandalf. The Follow Your Nose ship, season 1. There's been loads, but they definitely want us to like him. So Saruman's gonna be more controversial.
I missed actually did through we missed that he's got to find the Gand, which is the magic staff, which is what this guy is derived from. Yeah. I don't know how I missed that, but it's a fucking accents. I can't understand.
Then they're gonna be like, oh, it'll break in half, and you'll be like, oh, that's only half a grand or half a gand. Gandalf.
They probably worked for fucking hours and on end trying to justify how they get to Gandalf instead of that just being his name. Like,
Yeah.
Everything has to have an origin story, though, doesn't it? Like, there has to be a mystery. Everything has to be explained. I love as well, like how he comes to Bombadil's house and he's like, "I'm looking for stars. These stars above your hill," and I just keep thinking, like, why do you have to go to a specific hill to see these stars? Like, you understand you can see stars from like all different kinds of places, and they'll look the same.
How did you find him during the day? He followed a fucking ghost. You didn't like
if I see the constellation of Orion or something, right? Like, it's gonna look the same from my house as it does from yours, Gary, and we're in different parts of the world. Like, so I don't see how you can navigate using that.
It's not just the show. It's like the writers of these series have no fundamental understanding of the world or anything to do with science or just common sense or those things. That's where this comes from. It's a profound fact of real life experience.
they found a way to simulate what it's like to have no idea what's going on while watching the story, even if you're paying attention. When Tom Bombadil says, "You're going to be the one to take down Sauron and the Dark Wizard, and I'm gonna help you," I was literally like, what the fuck is going on? When did this happen? 10 minutes ago he was just searching for his two buddies, and now he's getting trained to fight Sauron? When did what?
Yeah.
Again.
And who is Karen Hines, like the Irish actor who looks like he's kind of Korean with red and white, like long hair and beard. What's his situation?
So the Dark Wizard,
Yeah.
nobody knows. Not supposed
Nobody
to be
knows.
there.
We'll find out. He's gonna fight him.
There's no
Season
Dark
2 finale,
Wizard.
they'll put their sticks together and fly
Yeah.
around.
They'll repurpose the fight
Yes.
in Fellowship. We know they blatantly repurpose the scene when Gandalf gets sucked into the tree, just like Merry and Pippin, and then Treebeard has to come and say, "Oh, come on." Well, it's Tom Bombadil who does it. And it's just blatant.
It's like, it's so steely in that they steal like the nature of the scene being the, oh god, the horror, I'm getting sucked in, this is terrifying, silence, and then we see that everything is like chill almost. It's like exactly the same as that scene.
Yeah, like Warner
That
Brothers
tree
should be
was-
suing him at this point. Right, like,
That tree was so cheaply articulated. It just looked like plastic things that turn on. It didn't look natural at all. It was horrific.
I think they blew all their budget on the ends. And this is where, right, I want to say one positive thing about this episode, right? And this is the only time I'm going to do it. I think the ends look fucking great this episode. I think they did a really good job with them. They look... God, I love the Peter Jackson trilogy, but I still maintain the ends look a little... They're just bounced right on the edge of looking goofy. Right, I think with this they actually looked more how I imagined them to look, so I think they did a good job there. But that's the only good thing I can say.
I got a slight kind of Transformers with twigs kind of vibe rather than myself.
They put their own spin on it, different from the movie.
I mean, they're broadly the same, but I think they're just animated better. Like they've got
animated better, yeah, about 20 times the budget.
Because there's one who's like. It's a female ant, I guess, which, I don't know, eventually they all vanish. Apparently that's why the ants are dying out, but there's still one here. And she's all covered in blossoms and stuff, so when she moves around, they kind of, like, rain down, like snow or whatever. And it's quite a cool effect. I like that. I thought that was quite well done. But that's about the limit of my praise for this episode.
Well, at the end of the first film, which is like, what, 2.5 hours? 3 hours? The Peter Jackson one. Everything was established. There's tons of heart, gravitas, feelings of tenderness, a sense of a shared burden. There's some emotional depth and resonances already. We've been through a whole first season, which is what, 10 hours plus another 3 hours here, so coming up on 13 hours, and it's still emotionally inert. It's still just basic personalities doing stuff with no emotional connection on any level with anyone after 13 hours in a like a fantasy drama show. To be that inert is just really sad to watch.
I'm no film critic, but after the first season, I didn't care about anybody. Like,
no,
couldn't even remember half of it.
Well, they hit it out of the park so far.
What's that?
Oh, I remember.
Stick around.
I hear she eats bugs now, right?
They all eat bugs,
It's
disgusting.
I like Estred, which their little neck branding. So that has to be recent. So if you've ever had a third-degree burn, that shit is still hurting. And so she puts another one right on top of it. And is immediately found out. Why did I put a third-degree burn on another third-degree burn? A few hours later, yeah, we fucking see that.
That strategy was retarded. Why didn't she just say, hey, I was taken and I did what I could to survive?
Because I slept near a fire is way better.
The fucking it's so funny. I fell onto the fire and
it's like it didn't touch my hair, but it burned my skin underneath somehow.
Okay. It was like, this is what people who are loyal to a dog do with it. And I was just sitting there like, why couldn't she just say the story of they branded me and I escaped? That was the easiest lie in the world.
Why couldn't they have had Isildur figure this out as well? Why did it have to be the elf? Like, why not have Isildur be anything smart in this entire episode or this entire show?
They're not letting him do anything interesting or like intelligent or anything. Aaron did like doing that actually was kind of like a relief to me in the sense of like there's just no way she should be able to hide this shit. So when he pointed out, I was like, fuck, something like that.
It should be losing.
Oh, she should be in fucking huge pain constantly.
Like for months.
But she acts completely normal and like she's just chill. Like, damn, she have a high pain threshold. I suppose.
Like when Isildur leaves her at night and then she's like la la la, and then it reveals the scar that she goes.
So far, we know these people are really dumb, but they're hardy. Like they can survive
That's
jumps
true,
off
yeah.
1,000-foot waterfalls, pyroclastic flows, third-degree burns.
Yeah, don't forget, Gareth. She
Trade-off.
got fucking smacked by an ent into a boulder.
Yeah, she should have been dead. She should have been dead. I cheered. I was like, yes! When that happened.
You could do a supercut of the show just with Benny Hill showing those moments of people getting whirled around and destroyed the volcanoes and thrown by trees.
See, that whole scene honestly played out like a comedy skit. Like, it's like when someone's on the verge of saying some really dramatic speech and then you just get whacked aside by some monster. Like, that's what it felt like.
It's like King Kong, Skull Island.
Nobody
Yeah, where the guy's gonna blow himself up, yeah.
Everyone seems dumber to me. No one seems smart. All these characters, even Isildur, which gets like what, 30 seconds of movie time in the series, and he has more gravitas there than.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Everything is so watered down somehow, and I just don't understand.
How can I put this? They've gone out of their way to crucify certain characters as much as they possibly can, and Isildur is one of them. Elrond is another, like, show, like, goes out of his way to make him look like an idiot. Basically all the dudes.
Caliburnia
Yeah.
is the biggest moron in this whole
Easier to do my job if I keep them in one place.
Elrond's been odd this season because he opens with like being the only elf with half a brain cell, and then he does something that could be tantamount to treason. Like, from Gil-galad's perspective, he's destroying the Elven kingdom essentially by jumping off that waterfall. And then as soon as they find the ring, they're like, "No, we're chill, bro. In fact, you can be the leader of the party who goes to fight Sauron." It's like,
I'm more mad at Galadriel.
yeah,
I should have been the whole time.
I didn't get that at all. I didn't get why Gil-galad allowed her to have a ring when they were fighting.
It's because she found it. It just like fell on the floor and pulled up, and it's like, wow, I guess you own it now, so cool.
Hey, they pick rings like they pick kings.
Well, I'll give them this. The character motivation lasts a little bit longer than the Afterlife. Afterlife came over 30 seconds.
Yes.
This one is at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes. But like,
That's about all you get.
Galadriel goes into full insufferable mode in this episode. Like,
Yeah.
there was a, they were trying to acknowledge her humility, and I'll put that in air quotes in the first 3 episodes, although she's still totally believes she's right, and that's how they're framing it. This one is just right back to Warrior Galadriel. Like, she gets demoted. She's not taking Elrond's orders. The first thing he does is ask her advice about picking her crew, and she's the one who picked that away team right there, by the way, specifically.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to it. Then there's a part where she gives up the ring, but we'll get to that.
Another
yeah,
thing
she
is the emotional economy of this, or extremes and convulsions, where people go from "I hate you" and "bitter," "I'll never forgive you," and then towards the end of an episode or 10 minutes later they'll be reconciled. It could be the father and son dwarves, it could be Isildur and this woman, it could be anything. And so you can't get invested in anything because you know that even if there's convulsions of anger and bitter rivalry,
I'll find a place to stay.
you know that it's just going to 180 in the space of an episode, so it's tedious, shallow.
It's toddler mentality, really, isn't it? Like how they go from like, "Oh, you're the worst person in the world, I hate you," to "You're awesome, I love you." You know, like that's how easily they flip. It's a show written by children, hopefully for children.
Yeah, even going back to the waterfall thing, it was, no, don't jump, he's gonna die. He jumps. Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
He hasn't even landed yet. Nah, he's good.
Stay right.
We don't even see him like struggling through the water, struggling to survive almost drowning or whatever. It's like he's just in the next scene. He's he's cool. He's made it to the shipwrights.
Yeah, and the
place.
first fucking thing Gil-galad check is where he is. He's like, yeah, you know what? I think you could be here. Oh,
No,
sorry.
that whole line, I'm gonna paraphrase it, but I'm guessing he'll be with somebody older and wiser who has shipwright in their name. James Kierden.
That's just my guess.
That's just my guess, though.
That's the first time we see Gil-galad go anywhere too. He was actually went there with his horse. Like, whoa, look at him go.
I'm so unused to seeing him just otherwise rooted to that one spot on that one platform for 90% of the time. Crazy.
It's like seriously at the end of Game of Thrones, she's just in front of that
on the
window
balcony.
part.
Window is wide.
That was truly one of the great moments of cinema as well, where like you see all the rocks and stuff falling from the ceiling, and it like knocks over her glass of wine, which is in the foreground. It's like, oh no, truly all is lost.
All is lost.
And when drama is over, drama is really over in the show. Like, you're just in the spooky forest with the barrel white things, and it's scary and drama, and then they kill them, and everyone's just standing around super chill, talking about exposition, what do we do next?
And again, they're not scary. Like, it's just like people fighting things. Right? All they do is kind of drift towards you and like kind of reach out for you, and there's no indication that like they can just run away from them or whatever.
Oh, and there's a bunch of standing around in this scene. Like they fight them and then they talk for a second, and it's like, aren't they just waited to attack? And
then they just walk over to the grave and they're like, all right, well, help me open it.
Yeah, it's like when should the whites know? Like, oh shit, he's gonna get one of our weapons out. That's the only thing we're weak against. We should stop him. Oh no!
I thought they were. I was mistaken. I thought they were just gonna call them whites, and they were gonna be some different form from some different era. No, these are the barrel whites from Lord of the Rings, from the book. Which should be the
Change it look like something out of a junkyard.
Well, they dynamite powers, and that was that. Obviously, it's a PG version, but what I didn't understand is, like, there's so many barrel whites. If they all just attacked one elf each with chains, it was over. Let's do.
Because you can't stop them as well.
Oh, going down.
Of this episode was, let's do what Peter Jackson did. Let's do the barrel whites and Tom Bombadil. And we'll just try to fit it in.
Yeah, it wasn't a complete circle around them, so they just closed in.
Finding them.
Yeah, this is how the bar works. Like in the books, they're actually kind of interesting. Like they slowly like wear down Frodo and the others. Like they send them off in different directions. They create illusions, thinking that they've walked like further than they have, so they get lost and stuff. And they end up going around in circles, and they eventually just kind of entrance them so that they pass out. And then that's when they drag them into the barrels and try to kill them, which is kind of cool. Like they could mess with the elves' heads. They could like misdirect them and stuff. Here it's just like, no, we're big spooky floaty things. Yeah, like that's it.
Let's battle.
It's so simplistic, and it loses what makes
it is.
interesting.
This whole series is how much can we return from Peter Jackson's Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Like maybe a line from the book will sneak in once in a while, once or twice, but it's mostly Peter Jackson stuff, which shows the lack of effort in it. But again, they only have it.
Yeah. Well, the only emotional connection I've had with the Wolf family, that guy, just isn't keen on it. He's got priorities now as a father, so he's got some divided loyalties. So I've got pretty vested in that story more than the human character.
I shed a tear over that video that you made. I thought it was beautiful, like giving them a whole backstory and everything.
Yeah, I was thinking, by the way, the elf that would go home after what happened at the end of the episode and be like, to his wife, or whatever the fuck, be like, I got shot by an arrow that was just some random horse. I got so unlucky. Oh, you're okay. It's like, yeah, turns out the lad has a ring that can just heal wounds. I would just be like, your story doesn't sound believable at all. You just made all of that up. That was all it could say. I was like, that's so casually happened. It's revolutionized forever, but
are they going to continue to repeat everything so many times about the powers that it might as well just be a plot device at any second?
Yeah, I mean, like the movies were fairly big about what the Elden Ring did as well, and like even to be fair, the books are a little bit like that. It's just like this. It's almost portrayed as this fairly subtle like web that it weaves, particularly for the elves. Like it helps their help to survive, but here it's just like, no, we can make it do specific things, like it can heal wounds, or it can bring the trees back to life, or whatever. Like it's
yeah, it was always a mystery, even in the novels, but I guess it's like it's just a convenience item. Like that's what it
basically
is. Like it's no longer a mystery. It's just like, oh, it's convenient to have this power at this time.
It's like in a video game where you've got like a NPC or something floating beside you that can just like scan the surroundings and tell you like things of interest, or give you a location that you need to go to next or whatever. That seems to be what the ring can do now. It'll tell you the direction you need to head, and tell you of danger nearby, heal things up.
Well, I sure hope an elf doesn't get stabbed near Galadriel and dies when she's got the ring. She's just a bitch.
Stay right there.
Why
forget about all those elves that died from wounds in the books.
You know? Why couldn't she use the ring to repair the bridge?
I know.
Gary, the funny thing is that we'll
Heal and preserve. That's what the Elden Ring is. But they're probably going to take the word heal like very literally.
We'll
I
get fun
sort of took
quotes
it from
fans of the show, like when with all the stuff that happened with Star Wars and the healing with the Force, they were like, Obi-Wan didn't kill Qui-Gon because he was tired.
Yeah. It's like, I can save your life, bro, but you know, I really have to max out on that fight.
Let me have a start down
Oh,
for a minute,
sorry.
you know?
Did you guys hear? I laughed out loud at the end. It had this huge dramatic conclusion that had high attention, and they ended it with the cheesiest, campest ballad at the end of the song, like pop song cheesy ballad. It
Yeah.
was so bad.
Oh yeah, because that came right after. Even I don't like the show. But I was like, oh, guys, that tone's all wrong. You wanted it to be like, oh my god, Ada, he has Galadriel now. Oh no, our heroine has been captured by the evil.
This is just
And then there's the pop song. Like,
Yeah, we got a music pop song. It's like the ending of a horror film.
Taking flight.
Deliberately put on like a cheesy ballad.
They're trying to do the acolyte. They're just trying to refuse the
I liked how he came in as well, like, you have your arrow like, ready to go, and then he just, like, comes in and grabs it with his hand, and, like, puts the flame out. Yeah, it's like, you can kill him with that, you know? He ain't gonna be able to stop it.
So I know the basics of the show, but if you're a normie, I was just thinking, like, how are you figuring out what the hell Sauron is? Because you see him at the beginning, it's not the same actor, but he's Sauron, and then he dies, and he turns into a sludgy, blubber black dude, and then he's been regenerated, like the Sauron we're used to, but he's not Halbrand. He's not that previous Sauron. He's not Halbrand. Then we go backstory to back where we were, and then he materializes as coke bloat Jesus at the end of that second episode. So if you're a normie, how the hell are you following on what's going on?
the one thing they didn't over exposition and explain.
Die on your feet.
They carry the audience through the new audience.
whatever is left of it. But yeah, I have no explanation how you follow that. How you circle back to the lore that you should have done in the first place just because you wanted to ship the embodiment of evil and the embodiment of good. You know,
I think